JPMorgan Chase was just ranked the #1 employer for people with disabilities by Careers and the Disabled magazine. To talk about how the firm got here, plus to hear a firsthand experience about disability inclusion here at JPMorgan Chase, we're joined by Head of the Global Office of Disability Inclusion, Jim Sinocchi, and Consumer and Community Banking's Product Manager for Business Banking, Betsy Mattimoe. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, let's start off with you. This year, the firm was awarded the #1 employer for people with disabilities. But just 5 years ago, on that same list, we were ranked number 41. What has the firm done in the past 5 years to improve disability inclusion?
Well, we've been very intentional about our strategy. That was number one. The second point is that we did have a strategy and we worked the strategy. We also promoted what we were doing in the outside world. Our communications team has been fantastic and the marketing team has been fantastic. And we got the word out that Chase was in the business of doing this strategy. The Career and Disabled magazine is my Time magazine or Newsweek magazine because it's read by people with disabilities who are interested in working, interested in being a part of the community. And we just joined the list as a challenge to ourselves to see how far we could go with this thing. And I was surprised when I found out that we were #1 this year. It's a proud achievement for a bank like us to be #1 in this space for people with disabilities.
Yes, it is. It's a huge achievement. Betsy, in 2014, you suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm, leaving you with minor short-term memory loss, a blind spot on your right side, and balance issues. And just 4 months later, you returned to work. Can you talk about your experience returning to work, what the firm did to help you, and how your experience changed you?
Sure. So when I woke up in the neuro ICU after my first brain surgery and was able to grasp my situation, listening to the patients and the families around me, um, I I realized that I did not have a lot of choices here. But I did choose to be positive. I did absolutely understand what I had to lose. And I realized attitude was everything. And I believe this to this day. I needed to work. So, working with Chase and my doctor, we were able to set up a medical accommodation. And for me, that translated into a flexible work arrangement. I needed to avoid heavier commute scenarios because of my blind spot. So that's really, really helpful for me. And then when we were setting up the medical accommodation, the Chase nurse asked all kinds of questions of me. And what happened is they redid my cube ergonomically. The folks from facilities dimmed the lights above my cube. And it has been more helpful than I could ever have thought of. And really, for everything that I needed, every accommodation, Chase has really gone above and beyond what I could have ever imagined. It's been great.
Thank you for sharing your experience, Betsy. Speaking of an inclusive work environment, Jim, what is the firm doing to make sure they stay as the #1 employer for people with disabilities?
We ran under a guidance regarding attitude, accommodations, assimilation, and accessibility. The idea is under those 4 A's are all the things that we do for the firm. And the 4 A's have been the mainstay of our strategy here. So we have an accommodations program run by HR where accommodations are delivered around the world for people with disabilities. Our attitude is basically our approach to disability inclusion. Assimilation talks about how we take people who come in as associates, VPs, etc., and how do we move them through the business. And finally, how we really develop a culture to help people with disabilities work here, earn their living, and aspire to be leaders. The ability to assimilate people with disabilities into the business to executive positions, I put at the top because A lot of people with disabilities just look for a job. Able-bodied people think about hiring people with disabilities for a job, but they rarely talk about aspirational goals like becoming a VP, an ED, or an MD. And we changed that paradigm here to say there are people here that can aspire to different goals, even though they have disabilities.
Betsy, you were working at JPMorgan Chase before your brain aneurysm, and in 2019, you faced a new obstacle after being diagnosed with breast cancer. In each instance, you had supportive managers. What advice do you have for managers to help employees navigate through similar situations and get the resources they need?
I would tell managers to simply listen to find out what your employees need and really what they're facing. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I shared with my manager that I was absolutely exhausted, falling asleep almost at the wheel driving home from work. And my manager, of course, picked up on that. And my really great HR partner came to me and let me know that there was a counselor available in my building. I had no idea. And I saw him for 3 sessions. Apparently, I was dealing with emotional exhaustion, had no idea. But very soon, I was feeling top of my game again, was able to deal with my diagnosis, get back to work, and life became a little bit more shiny.
Lastly, Jim, what is the firm doing to get out the word that JP Morgan Chase is a great place to work for people with disabilities?
We're selling our program basically because of the brand. I've been a speaker at the United Nations for the last 4 or 5 years. They invite me every year since I got here, and what we do is highlight people with disabilities that are doing the work. We have people talking about their disability openly, and it's made the firm feel smaller. I had a story that impacted me that I'd like to end with. A mother called me when she read a story about myself and my service dog, Veronique, who passed away about 4 years ago. And she showed the story to her young son that had a disability. And she told me that he was about 7 years old. And when she read the story to him, the young boy looks back at his mother and says, "Mom, I see that man in the wheelchair with his dog. Does that mean I can go to work someday?" That, like, I'll never forget. That happened over 3 years ago. But it just shows what we're doing to not only help our adult community, but what we're doing to help our children who have disabilities. And we have many parents at the firm that have children with disabilities. And it's a heartbreaker every day. But that's what inspired me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Head of the Global Office of Disability Inclusion, Jim Sinocchi, and Consumer and Community Banking's Product Manager for Business Banking, Betsy Mattimoe. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.